You favor and pass it down. Thanks. Welcome and welcome. I didn't send it to you without a welcome. Welcome. How many people do not have their prosperity treatment memorized and do not have a copy of it in front of them? Anybody need one? Sue. Those of you who are first time at the class, open up your brochure and your prosperity treatment is on the left, the right, the other left, the right hand panel. And this is the treatment that we are doing daily, many times a day, in the shower, in the car, while we're sleeping, just programming our subconscious mind because we want to be rich, and we are ready. I don't know, maybe I should ask. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready to be rich? Yes. Are you ready to be abundant? Yes. Are you ready to have money show up from many different areas? Yes. Are you ready to have all your bills paid? Yes. Left over? Yes. Money to do what you want to do? Yes. Are you ready to go where you want to go? Yes. Buy what you want to buy? Yes. Do what you want to do? Yes. Be who you were meant to be? Yes. Get up out of your chairs and we have prosperity together aloud. I know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program of our center, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is. So I want you to know that you've gone out of town and been sleeping with them, holding them, cuddling them, treating with them, affirming with them, dancing with them a little bit. And all of that energy comes together to set spiritual law in motion. And when we collectively set our intention to prosper, things happen. So I want to know what things have happened to you. Come up, get in front of the microphone, share what good things are happening, and if you're going to share, line up so the class is not waiting for you to get up out of your chair later. Just go line up and come on up and share. Eric, basic microphone, left, up, right.
Interesting things happened. I shared with you that the Corvette was given to me. Still working out the logistics of getting it all in my name.
Is there a ring inside it?
Content of a storage unit was given to me also by the same owner. This weekend we're going down to Florida to retrieve all the contents of the storage unit and bring it back up here. I know what's in there. There's all kinds of furniture and TVs and stuff like that. It's just been given to me. So I get to go through it and see what I want to keep, see what I want to let go of. And today I was offered a job. I'm a mechanic and everything, and I got offered a job working at Advanced Auto Parts part-time. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's prosperity showing up, so I'm happy.
All right. On one of our first papers, we had different suggestions for confidence. And what came to mind was when all this Stafford is the person. Okay, so what I did, I folded a paper, every morning I do this, and I wrote the alphabet down the side. And then I put A and a heart, and I write on and whatever comes to mind. Abundant and awesome, bouncy and beautiful, cool and careful. I mean, it could be, it's different every day, but what I noticed is certain things show up over and over, and I like to circle them. And so I just want to say, I definitely feel increased confidence because I am wearing this wonderful shirt.
Yay! Yay! Come on up. You're Susan? Sharon, I got the S right.
As you heard, I'm Sharon. Last week when we were in class, Julia said, you gotta go up. I had a check come in the mail, that was $97 where I'd overpaid a bill. So that was nice, but I told Julia, just a little amount. Well, this week was, the other day, whenever it was payday, and so I check on the computer and I'm checking my balance and stuff, and it was 3,000 something, no, 2,000 something. I'm like, okay, this is good, this, still not enough. Then, that evening, I thought, I'm just checking it. But the only reason I was checking it was to see who had taken more money out of my checking. Well, now it's 3,000 something. And I thought, no, that's not right. And so, I see that the state, I work for the state, they had put in $500 for me. I still haven't called them to ask them why they did that.
The correct response is, thank you.
Mic is working. Should be. Stop, we can hear you. We can hear you. What?
Green light guy.
I spent so much time this week organizing stuff that I manifested last week. I put it all together in my recording studio and, fixed my house up and stuff. And then yesterday, my wife said, we didn't manifest any money. And I went, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get up here and say I manifested something. So we pasted our picture in our wedding collage and put some money in it. And today, 3 people decided to get married, and one of them paid us in full.
So there's this Activism and music festival in Colorado that's going on, and I was given 2 3-day passes to attend the whole festival, and they're like $108 a piece. So I was pretty stoked on that. And also there's this local magician or wizard, and there was I don't know if it was part of her act or something, but she had this trick bird, and I guess the act was changing or something, so they gave me this bird with this great big awesome cage and all these bird toys, and I kind of got on the PetSmart site, figured out how much it would cost, and it was definitely $300 or $400 or $500, so big time gift and happiness in our home, and my 10%.
Okay, are we on? Can you hear me? Okay, so this week has been very interesting. Is that better?
Yes.
Closer
to the mic.
Okay, you guys hear me?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now you got it. All right. This week has been very interesting. I've been out of town for a couple of weeks when I came back, and 2 things have happened. Is it on or not?
It's on.
It's on?
Not now.
Not down?
I don't know what's wrong with
Okay, well, I got a big mouth, so you'll be able to hear me without any problems. Okay. So, earlier this week, I had a friend of mine call me, and I work a lot, I used to be in Denver, and I have a friend of mine that's out there that's a very close spiritual practitioner out there, actually, and she's been sick off and on, and I've been wanting to go back and see her, but I can't because it's expensive going back to Denver at $500 a crack. So earlier this week, I get a phone call from a friend of mine who is a State Farm agent up in Michigan, and she says, "How would you like to go to Vegas on paying?" Okay, I think I can work that out. And then I said, well, how about let me look online, and it turned out that it was cheaper for me to go to Denver from Atlanta for 5 days prior to going to Vegas. That routine. So I said, I like it. So far, things are good. So manifested an entire trip to Denver so far, which was really cool. Okay, so fast forward, this was about, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. And on Sunday, I decided, since I was out of town for a couple weeks, I have now created a friend of mine, Alex here, has created a basket of all my mail that came in while I was gone. And I just ignored it because I'm in the insurance business and I didn't even want to look at what was in there. Well, I decided I better go through it on Sunday. So I'm going through it and I'm looking at it, and a friend of mine had sent me a little package. And it was just in one of these little manila envelopes. And it's a friend of mine that lives in Florida, and I haven't seen her for about 8 or 9 months. Actually, I've seen her for years. I haven't talked to her about 8 months. So I opened it up, and there was a cute little book in there, you know, when you're getting old, blah, blah, blah. And she had a birthday card in there, too. So I opened up the birthday card, and there's a check. And I was stunned. It was $2,500.
Okay, so I'm from Michigan, and over the over the past several years, really, our finances have been really falling into place. Sue took my wife Suzanne back there, took a manifesting class, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I'm in the energy efficiency business. So my business has been becoming more popular since the energy costs have been going up. But over the past 18 months, as I walk in to talk to people, it's just, oh, okay. And I'm accepted. And on last Thursday, before coming down here, I went to take a proposal to a customer, and he looked at it, he said, I don't have much time to go over this. He said, will this take long? I said, well, no, not too long. So I said, I flipped to the page, I said, here's the bottom line. I said, there's your cost, and the payback is about 12 months. He said, okay, where do I sign? And that's how it's been going. It's been going fantastic.
My name is Darcy, and I had a good week last week. I found $10 on the pavement. I won $20 at our sales rally. I won a $500 gas grill in a raffle at work. And last Monday, I was home. I wasn't in class last week because I was home celebrating the sale of my house, which went without a hitch. So sweet. I was sipping champagne on my realtor's back porch, but I did want to say just a couple of things about faith in general. When I was visioning my house selling or imagining my house selling, I put a picture of it on my desk with big black letters across it that said sold on it. And underneath this little inscription that says, affirm that you are the larger thing, that larger thing, that you are now entering into that larger life. Feel that something within is drawing more to you. Live with the idea and let that concept grow, expecting only the biggest and best to happen. You will soon find that a larger and greater experience has come into your life. And this is so true for me. I also want to say not always an easy thing. It can be really challenging because it requires constant vigilance and self-examination. But I will tell you, the rewards are really, really big. And once you get through to the other side of things that are challenging in you and your life, it's a really good feeling of feeling strong, like, what else could I be doing that I've been limiting myself to do? So there's lots out there, and I challenge you to go for it.
Hello. Hey, my name's Eric Monty. So I went Friday, Friday to the P.O. box, pay my monthly, or pay my P.O. box. And for about 3 months now, I've had a check, somebody owed me some money, and opened up my P.O. box, and there it was, check for $500. So there it
Anybody else? Why do you think these things happen? Do you think it's a coincidence? Do you think it's a fluke? Do you think that another group of almost 100 people would have these same kinds of things? Or is something special happening in this room? I think that something special is happening in this room because we are taking energy and we are transforming it. We are shifting it to be able to say, oh my gosh, it's been 6 days and I haven't created any money, and put my picture and paste some money around it and have 3 different jobs show up. That is taking charge of our lives. To set the intention, to hold the energy, and to allow that creation to come into form makes you different from everybody else on the planet that are glued to the evening news and they're mad about what Israel's doing to Gaza, or what Gaza's doing to Israel, or what's happening in Africa, or what's going on in the world. They're mad about that. They're using up their energy, their creative power to experience not perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness, but to experience that things are wrong in the world. And so what they create is things being wrong in their world. You, on the other hand, even though your friends may think you're nuts, go around saying, I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, and money's got an action. I know that money can fall right out of the sky, and it's going to fall on me. It's not going to fall on that person, because I am the one that is in vibrational alignment with that idea of money finding its way to me. And so you go around and you tell yourself this stuff, and you look for money in your life. You look for experiences that are going to work out instead of tell yourself why this isn't going to happen. And you hold yourself steady. And that makes you different. Because that opens you to be the creator, the conscious creator of your experiences. Instead of just someone who's playing the law of averages, who's rolling the dice, and whatever happens, happens, there's nothing you can do about it. You are money magnets. And if the money goes to someone else, it's because somehow you turned off your magnet. It's somehow you gave up on yourself. And I love this chapter that we're looking at tonight in the Think and Grow Rich book. It's persistence. And thank you, Darcy, because it's not always easy to stay the course. It's not always easy to hold true to what you want to have, especially if things are showing up that are saying, it's not going to happen, it's not possible, it's not for you. Who do you think you are anyway that you can have a successful, thriving career and you can have things show up that are just going to be uplifting and joy-filled? Who are you to smile and be happy all the time? Don't you know that? And then there are those other voices, and that's the voice of the race. That's the voice of all humankind saying, we are not one, we are two. There's a power outside of us that can be anywhere from the devil to the saber-toothed tiger, and that things can happen to us and hurt us. And when we fall into that, and I tell you, sometimes it's tempting. Sometimes it's tempting for the voice of other people to get its foot in where you're going and you to give up on your dream. Sometimes it's tempting. And I want to look at that idea of what makes us vulnerable to that giving up on ourselves. Because persistence and giving up on yourself are two opposite ideas. When you're persistent, and I do have some notes, I actually have a very fun class plan. When you're persistent, you have a definiteness of purpose. You're not wishy-washy. You know what you want. Do you know how hard it is to know what you want? When people come to see me, my first question is, what do you want? My teacher, Will Rockingbear, a Native American Cherokee shaman, used to answer the phone with, what do you want? And if you couldn't come up with something very quickly, he would just hang it up because he wasn't going to waste his time. What do you want? Most people won't acknowledge what they want because they don't want to deal with the fact that they don't have it. And that there's a little voice that says, you're never going to have it, so maybe I shouldn't want it, and then I don't have to live with that tension. But the truth is that you know what you want. You know what you want. It was on that first sheet that we had that first night where you wrote down, this is what you want, to set a definite amount of money, a definite thing that you want, and then remember we're reading that in the morning when we awaken. You ought to see my bed, it's all full of stuff. We read it in the morning when we awaken, we read it at night when we go to sleep. That this is what I want, and I have a right to want it, and I have a right to have it. So people who are persistent, they have definiteness of purpose. They're not wishy-washy. It's not, well, I'll go in this direction as long as everything works out. But you know, as soon as there's a bump, maybe that's spirit telling me it's divine guidance that I just shouldn't bother, that I should go put my feet up and take care of myself and take a nap instead. That's not persistent. Persistence is where you look at that bump and say, you don't rule me. Not only are you just a bump, but I can jump over you. I can go around you, I can go through you, that you are not going to stop what I want to have in my life, how I want to live my life. So you have a definiteness of purpose and you claim that on a regular basis. I love the idea that we create money because money is fun and you can count it. When you're creating money, it's not something that's vague and out there. You hold it in your hand. You say, I'm going to create a certain amount of money, and then, oh my gosh, the state of North Carolina deposits it in your bank account. Isn't that lovely? You don't even have to get a check. Or you go to your mailbox, and the person who owed you $500 just miraculously pays it now. Why do you think that happened? Because you had definiteness of purpose. You said, this is what I want. I want my business to thrive. I want my body to be absolutely healthy. I want money to show up in fun and exciting ways, and I want it now because I have a right to have it. That takes a certain feeling inside of you. It takes a certain kind of person to have that. And people who are very successful in the world, it doesn't just happen to them. It didn't happen while they were watching soap operas. They went out there and they got it, and the first step along their path was to know where they were going and what they were going to get. Now, you don't need to know all of the details, and your path may shift a little bit down the road, but you know that you're going in that direction. I'm not going down, I'm going up. And I'm going to go there and get what is mine to have, and I'm not going to allow the voices of family and quote-unquote friends and other people stop me from having what I want to have in the world. The next one is desire. You've got to want it. Well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't want so much. I don't know, is it really spiritual to want something? I don't know. Maybe I should just accept, the Buddha said what is, and shouldn't that be enough? No. Because what that is a cop-out. What that is a cop-out. You have a right to want. And how many children have the desire of wanting just knocked right out of them? Don't want that. Don't go for that. Pull yourself back. Stay small. Hide. Take the safe route. Remember, was it last week we talked about the differences in values? Yes, that was just last week, wasn't it? And John had freedom up there, and I went along and wrote safety, because those are the two biggest opposing values that people have. If you choose safety, very often you give up your freedom for it. And if you choose freedom, very often you're not safe. You're not safe. So you've got to want it, and you've got to have that willingness to want be stronger than your desire not to be hurt. I don't want to be hurt, but I want to have $1 million. They don't go hand in hand. I don't want to be hurt, but I want to do what I want to do. I want to create this amazing business that I've got, and I know it's in me, but I don't want to be hurt. They don't go hand in hand, and that desire's got to be strong enough that you'll hold on to it and go for what you want. The next one is self-reliance, that you know you can do this, even if you haven't got a clue how to do it. You don't need to know how to do it. You just know that you can do it, and that whatever you need you'll have, but you're willing to go for it, and go for it, and go for it, and be persistent in your desire to create your life the way you want it, that you know that you've got that inside of you, that there's something special in you, that you're not a lemming walking over the cliff, that you weren't just born to have a terrible life and then die, that there's something in you that is lifting you up and allowing you to go forward in a way that is uniquely yours, and you've got that inside of you. And for me, I know there have been many times where I've had to fall flat on my face so that I could get up and realize I'm okay. So go forward again, fall down, finally gets to where, oh, just falling down again, no big deal, okay, up we go. No big deal. And then we're moving forward. A definiteness of plans so that you've got something that you're doing. I talk to people, what do you want? Well, I just want to be rich. Okay, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't want to have to do anything. I just want to eat bonbons and watch the soaps and have it fall down in my lap. It doesn't work that way. We live in a reciprocal universe of energy. We've got to put energy out to have something come back in. And you don't need to know your end-all, be-all plans. You know, it's this whole thing of all or nothing. Well, I'm not going to take a step until I've got it all figured out. Oh, come on, just take a step. Just take a step, just do something. And what you do is you start setting the law in motion. You put energy out there, and things happen. And so you wake up and take notice, and you keep going, and you claim what you want, and you rely on that presence and power inside of you to be able to create that. And before you know it, people look at you and go, wow, something's happening here. Something's happening with you, because there's energy around you and movement and activity. And that energy draws to it those things that are in alignment with what it is. Accurate knowledge. Don't be stupid. I've had people take my prosperity class and think that that meant that they should just go charge all of this stuff up and borrow all of this stuff. No, get a plan, think about it. You may have to go learn something. You may need to go to school. You may need to ask someone to help you, to teach you. You may need to explore a certain concept. Well, I want to be, what was your Facebook post, Dan? What is your company?
My company is, it's called RealPage.
It was some kind of green thing.
Oh, no, I'm the director of sustainability and energy management for them. And I'm doing green drinks on 2 Wednesdays about sustainability and Asheville business.
Great. So you're the director of sustainability and something for somebody, and you're using green drinks. Right? Did you have to learn about green drinks?
Yeah, I had to learn about sustainability for a real
Well, I was
long
going to
time.
go to sustainability too. You had to learn about sustainability. It wasn't just darn those energy companies and gosh, that fracking. It's just bad and wrong. It's not like that. It's what is a higher way to do this? What can we do to come together in a way that we can live in harmony and have everything that we want? Because it's not about going and pitching a tent and digging a hole to poop in and drinking creek water. It's not like that. That's not going to help the planet. It's about coming together and creating innovative technologies that work in harmony with everyone and everything. And you had to learn about that.
Yes.
You had to learn about that. And in doing so, you took action, you had a desire, you had some self-reliance, you moved forward in life, and I bet you picked a lot of people's brains.
There's actually a pretty momentous thing that occurred in my life before I started going to school for sustainability. So I was driving down the road, going into this place called Ouray, Colorado, if you've ever been there. It's gorgeous, right? And I'm going, who are these people that just stop and they go climb a mountain, or they start a foundation, and they just bail and do these amazing things. And it's like, they don't, their lives don't crumble, but why do I feel like everything's gonna fall apart for me? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go do this. And I didn't know what it was, and then I signed up to go to the University of Vermont and figure out sustainability, and here it goes.
Great, so you went from Colorado to Vermont, went to school. I mean, I'm just saying, you picked up your life, you made some major changes, you let go of security and went toward freedom even without any guarantees, and you were willing to put in the time to learn what you don't know. The problem with what you don't know is you don't know what you don't know. So you go somewhere where you learn, oh my God, I don't know anything, and then you start to learn. And then you can put action out there, and now you travel all around the country. You're gone a lot, putting out energy, creating something, working for something that is whispering inside of you that says there's a better way to live, and we can do it. Exactly.
Yes.
But it doesn't just happen without any energy. What?
I just said yes.
Oh. Cooperation. You have to learn to work with other people. You have to learn how to play nicely with others. Some people think they can just be jerks in the world and that they're going to get what they want, and it doesn't work because you're being a jerk to you because there's only you. So cooperation, collaboration may be a better word in these days. To collaborate with other people, to share, to say, here, look what I just learned. Instead of, I'm not going to tell you what I just learned, you may take it. No, look what I just learned. What do you know? Well, look at what I just learned, and then we're both better off for it, instead of fighting with each other. Willpower. I'm just such a, I'm so adamant that if you want to be lazy, you don't have a place in my life. And willpower, whereas in the Science of Mind textbook, for those of you that are students, Ernest says you don't create with willpower, you create with will. Well, he's using that in the same vein in terms of you have to generate some energy to take you forward. If you say you're going to get up in the morning and go to a meeting, then get up in the morning and go to the meeting. If you say you're going to work out of your house, work out of your house. When John was working out of the house, a lot of people would say that the best way to do that is to get up in the morning, take a shower, and put a suit on and a tie and go to the next room and go into your office. Because there's an illusion, there's a lie that people tell themselves that is, I don't really have to do that because nobody's watching. I don't really have to hold myself accountable. I don't really have to stay on focus. I don't really have to work that hard because there's nobody else around. And those of you who work for yourself, which a lot of people in this room do, you know that there's that tendency just to blow the day off. Just, oh, tomorrow's another day. And if you do that, before you know it, it's 10 years, 20 years, and you didn't do what you wanted to do in this lifetime. So what he's saying is more like the act of will, the ability to bring up inside of yourself the self-discipline and the commitment to operate on your own behalf instead of falling backwards into the tempting unconsciousness of the masses who are content with mediocre lives. And I don't know about you, but I have never been content with a mediocre life. I have always been a fighter. I've always been a worker. I've always been willing to do whatever I could to create change, no matter what that change was. I wanted to bring forth energy into my world on my behalf, instead of sit back and point the finger at why life isn't taking care of me. We are the only ones that will take care of ourselves, and yet if we decide to take care of ourselves, we can create whatever we want. And habit. To develop habits that are positive and creative and sustaining to take us where we want to go. One of the things that in many of our classes on Monday night, I'm what as Abraham said, beating the drum of, is spiritual practice. To develop a habit. where you awaken in the morning and you set the tone for your day. To be able to say, I don't care what time it is. I don't care whether I overslept or whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do this thing that Barbara talks about of focusing on how I want my life to be, of imagining it, of creating it, of bringing it in, of feeling it, of breathing it, and then go out and do what is mine to do that day to bring it into form, to develop the habit of acting like you are the successful person that you are. Instead of, so many people, just forgive me, the whole thing about taking care of ourselves, I think, has been blown totally out of proportion when it is used as an excuse to do nothing. When taking care of ourselves is the new excuse to do nothing, it has been blown out of proportion. You know, even God rested on the 7th day, so I'll give you 1/7 to do that. But other than that, you're supposed to be working your butt off, creating heavens and earth and time and space and universe layers of life. You're supposed to be creating life. And so what you want to do is develop habits that will bring that forth. And that means get up. It means stand up. It means show up. It means pay attention and be willing to take the risk of moving forward even if you fall flat on your face. And when you do these things, you develop something that people call persistence, which means you're not wimpy. You're not turned away just because it rained. You don't have something completely take your dream from you because you don't know enough to hold on to it. When the winds blow, the winds will blow. Darcy's house had to go off the market. She had to dig it all up for some kind of EPA thing and put all the dirt back in. And then she sold it for way more than she put into it and for her time and bother. But during that time, I remember her saying, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to sell it. Maybe I'm not supposed to move. Maybe this is Spirit saying, just stay in the house where you are, suck it up and deal with it, and just let that be good enough. And she said, but that doesn't feel right. I want to sell this house and I want that house over there. And what happened was she didn't get that house, she got a better house because she was willing to go through all of the stuff that she had to go through. You've got to be strong. You've got to find that inside of yourself. What do I want out of life and what am I willing to pay? And if you're not willing to pay everything, you don't want it. You don't want it, so stop telling yourself that you want this great life if you're not willing to let go of all of the trappings of the person who has the not great life. You've got to be willing to go to real estate school. How long did you go to real estate school?
3 months.
You went 3 months at real estate school. You've got to be willing to change what you do. You've got to be willing to get up in the morning and go out and live your life. You've got to be willing to open your restaurant every day, unless you're closed 1 day a week. And then that's your 7th day and you get that. But you've got to be willing to do it. And when you do it, you set spiritual law in motion so that the most amazing things come together. To drop circumstances not so much in your lap as they are often in your way. Circumstances fall in your way, and then that helps you to focus, to see if you need to triumph over them or if it truly is a shift in direction. And you know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows what they want, and everybody knows that they've got what they need to have it. Then the question is just, are you going to put that out there or are you not? Are you going to start every day by setting your intention and knowing that you're a powerful, creative, spiritual being and this is the life that you're going to have? Are you going to, every time you open up an envelope, not go, oh crap, and just rip it open and find doom and gloom, but say, no, I'm going to put in here a blessing and I'm going to open it up and take that out? Are you willing to be with other people in such a way that you lift both of you up? I love it in Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich, where he said, people who are rich get rich in such a way that they throw ladders down that other people may follow them and come up with them. Yes. That's what we do, because as soon as we go into a competitive universe and say, I'm not only not gonna throw a ladder down, but I'm gonna cut whatever rope you're climbing up on, because you may get mine, you've gone into limitation. You've gone into an idea that says there's not enough, and if you try to get some, you may take some of mine, so I'm not gonna let you do that, and then you've immediately lost. As soon as you go into that reality, you've immediately lost. So the question that is up for me is, what keeps us from moving forward? What is it when we feel like we're just on top of the world and we can do anything, and then the next thing we know, we've given up? What's up with that?
What is up with that?
How does that work? Why does that happen to us? What changes inside of us from the part of us that is strong and powerful to the part of us that is weak and helpless? And that's really what I want to talk about and work on today. And in my decades of study of psychology, what I know is that there are myriad psychodramas inside of us, and subpersonalities and different people. You know, in multiple personality disorder, they have measured people. That's when, like Sybil, you know, one person comes out on one thing and another person comes out on another. They've measured people, and one personality will be insulin-dependent diabetic, keel over dead without a shot of insulin. Another one will have a perfectly functioning pancreas. Another one can't see without the glasses. And another one sees fine. And these things really do go on inside of us, maybe not to that dramatic extent. And although people with real multiple personality disorders are pretty much unconscious when these other personalities come out, we get pretty much unconscious when these other personalities come out too. How quickly can we get hooked and just fall right in? And then before you know it, we've lost our power. We've lost our mojo. It's as if it just got sucked right out of us. And I'm fascinated with the point that we flip. What is it that is so deep inside of us that gets triggered off that can make me go from, I am Barbara Waterhouse, I can do anything, to, oh my God, what if? What is it that does that? Doesn't do it very much, but I've made that jump many, many times in my life. What is it inside of me that is vulnerable to that hook? What is the belief inside of me that craters when something happens?
Fear.
And it's very much an unconscious process. Whoever said fear, you're absolutely right. And where does that fear come from? How does that fear get there, and what the hell can we do with it? How do we get rid of fear? What can we do so that we can allow ourselves to stay more fully present in who we are? And in this weekend of International Forgiveness Day, I've been looking at the psychological dramas, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, that hook us up, or trigger us off and hook us into those situations that are far away, suppressed a long time ago, and we just wish they weren't even here. And those situations where we made decisions about ourselves, that we were not powerful, that we were not in control, we were not in charge, and we not only didn't we didn't get to have what we want, but we didn't deserve to even want what we had. So when people come to my office and I say, what do you want? And they hesitate, I know exactly where to go. They don't even think they deserve to have the thought of what they want. Now, how in the world are they going to get what they want until they can move at least into, I deserve to have it. And then I have the wherewithal to get it, and by gosh, I'm going to go get it. Nothing's going to stop me. What is it that we can do to change that dynamic? And one of the neat things that you can do pretty easily is move into forgiveness. But forgiveness is a catch-all word that has so many different meanings. So I want to look at that a little bit, because when we look at I was a child and you physically, emotionally, and sexually abused me. There was nothing I could do, and you're just a dirty, rotten racket-fratchet, and I would kill you if I could. Now, how's that helping me? Really, how is that helping me other than making me stay in a situation inside of myself that I am so angry and so locked in that I can't get out and move forward in my life? That doesn't help me. But a lot of times traditional forgiveness says, oh yeah, poor baby, that happened to you and that was terrible and awful and that should never happen to anybody and I'm just going to feel really sorry for you and you know you should forgive them. That doesn't really help. So in traditional kinds of forgiveness, you have what? You have blame. I'll help you. Something very much was wrong. You have pain, fear, and a victim. That's enough. God. That's a traditional paradigm of forgiveness, that something was wrong, that there was pain, there was fear, that you were a victim, and there's someone to blame. And in spiritual development, there's a different way to look at forgiveness, to where you completely change the paradigm. Here, we'll just go like this. And start looking at it differently. So if there's no one to blame, then what have you got? Responsibility. Let's match these. Someone said volunteer. Whoops. If you don't have something wrong, what have you got?
Something right.
Something right. Oh, I'm pushing buttons here. And if there's not pain, there's what?
Pleasure.
There's pleasure, and maybe there is pain. But if it's not wrong, then it doesn't have the emotional attachment. Did you ever get hurt? Did you ever somehow smack your hand or cut yourself? Or I know that I was playing with my dog a few weeks ago and she bit me and happened to hit this little vein and blood was everywhere. And it hurt. And I had this tissue and it was Thursday night and I was walking out and there was just blood everywhere, but I didn't have a judgment that she was wrong. I was playing with her. And I had a very short rope toy and all she did was shift her hold on it. It happened to be on my hand. But what I noticed was without the judgment of the pain, it was just pain. It didn't have a lot of emotional overlay on it. And if there's not fear, what might there be? Strength. And love. Something happened. I'll give you that. But it's not happening today. And if you're living your life as if it's happening today, you are vulnerable for an outside circumstance to hook you and to have you plummet right down into the abyss. If you can begin, and doesn't have to be a whole end-all be-all thing, but if you can begin to see that maybe nothing is wrong here, maybe some of those situations that we had in our lives, just to be pretty general, it all came together to make us what we are today. Neurotic and dysfunctional as we are, it all came together to make us what we are today. One of the things that I've often really gotten grateful for is my mother's technique of child rearing was to lock us outside, and then my father would come home from work and we would be allowed back in. And what that taught me is how to rely on myself. It taught me at a very early age. I remember I walked myself to pre-kindergarten at 4, crossing busy streets and finding my way. I didn't think much of it. I was on my own, I had to go to school. So I learned how to knock on doors. I learned how to talk to people. I learned I lived in Miami. I learned what I could eat. And if nothing was there, I ate a lot of grass. I learned how to take care of myself. And that, rather than saying, oh, it wasn't that terrible, it's like, that gave me moxie. That made me know that I could stand on my own 2 feet no matter what was going on around me. And that I didn't need to sit there and wait for someone to take care of me. I was going to take care of myself. And I may have been a little child, but I was still going to take care of myself. So I really did embrace that experience of my childhood. And it's not fluff, and it's not just a bunch of hooey and words. It's real to me. I learned how to depend on myself, and I'm grateful for that. So if we can start to look at something and say, this happened, granted it happened, okay, it happened, but was there anything good in it? Did anything come out of that? There's always something good in it. And if we can begin to look at ourselves not as victims, but volunteers. There are no victims, only volunteers, and perhaps we volunteered on a subconscious level, or maybe a spiritual level, or a pre-birth level. Who knows what kind of level we volunteered? We volunteered. I've spoken with people who have been accosted and attacked, and I said, was there anything before you went down that alley that told you not to go? And they said, of course. And they went anyway, because it was the shortcut. So what is it about us, if we're going to make those choices, that we can take responsibility for them and say, I chose that. At some level, I chose that. At some level, I left the windows down in my car and the keys in the ignition and just ran in somewhere for a minute, came out, my car was gone. I chose that. I did that. And there's got to be a blessing in there somewhere. I've been saying I wanted a new car, and so here's my old car gone, and here I go. I'm going shopping. Yay! That's an easy one. How about the parents that we picked? I didn't pick my parents. I didn't ask to be born. Do you remember being a kid saying, I didn't ask to be born? Well, yes, you did. Yes, you did. So what was it in that experience that is a blessing? What is it that made you stronger? Or if it hasn't made you stronger yet, that you would like to have it make you stronger? What can you do to flip that whole thing around to where it lifts you up instead of tears you down? And what you're doing is you're removing the hook that has you plummet into the abyss and be completely unconscious and create scenarios that recreate that over and over and over again until you heal it. Because the truth is that you showed up on this planet as a powerful, creative, spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth, and that all is well. That everything that you have experienced has been a greater step in your development and unfoldment, and no, there is nothing in this room that would surprise me. So you do not get to have a special trauma. I've been doing this for 35 years. Nobody's got a special trauma. Everybody's got something, though. So what are we still holding on to, and what's the payoff? Is it really worth it to still be upset with them? Because what you're giving up is your money. Let me make it really clear. If you want to hold on to anger and resentment and victimhood, you pay for it with $100 bills. There's no room in you for the money that you're creating to show up when you're so filled with this sense that you don't deserve it, you don't have a right to it, and it's never going to happen anyway. Do you see the schizophrenia of that? I know that money is God in action, and I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, and I have everything that I need, except that I have to hide, except that I have to stay small, except that I don't deserve it, except that there's something wrong inside of me and something bad about me, and I've got to hold that and pull it in. And I, Barbara, know that all good things are mine and that I'm experiencing the joy and love of life, except that there's something deep inside of me that I can't let anybody see, because that happened. You know, shame and guilt is so deep and so intense, and it costs you so much. It costs your physical health and your energy. It costs your money. It costs your relationships. God, it costs a lot in divorces. Divorces are so expensive. They really are. We pay such a high price for that. So what I want to do is take a quick break and come back and go through a forgiveness exercise. And I know that we can talk about it and think about it, but I want to actually do it. So if really, really, really you don't want to do this, this is your Okay, pass these pens down, and I want some helpers to help hand out these worksheets. Split them up amongst yourselves. There are well over twice as many worksheets as there are people in the room. Okay. I'm just marveling at my inbuilt on So the only thing that I can come up with is that getting ready to do intimate exercise has everyone a little bit defensive with why are you talking to me? That's the only thing I can figure out. We have been talking over is that you are defending yourself already. So those of you who have been chatting, consider that you're feeling a little anxious, and you've been diverting that by talking, okay? And just, that's okay, just acknowledge it. Jane, I don't have any more, talk to someone else. Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this sheet. You're going to have extras that you can take home with you. And you can do this over and over and over again. This is a process from a man named Colin Tipping that I met a year ago. Out at the Asilomar conference, and he was on stage and had two ministers, Deborah and David Stewart, on his lap in front of 1,000 people sobbing. It was wonderful, and it changed their lives, because he was willing to see them without any judgment and give them an opportunity to reframe an experience between them. They didn't know they were coming up to work on their relationship, but when they came up together and they're married, at some level they were saying, help us, help us, help us. And so he did. He's a wonderful man. Colin Tipping lives in north of Atlanta, and he does these things. And these things are available online for free. There's all kinds of stuff you can get. And his whole concept of radical forgiveness is that you go over here. You take responsibility for what happened in your life. You see the thing that's right, not what's wrong. And you allow yourself to love because you know that you participated in that from a higher level on a spiritual plane. However, the first step, as much as I would love to ignore the first step on this worksheet, it doesn't really serve you to do that, but we're not going to spend a lot of time doing that. This isn't a week-long workshop, and I really don't want anyone hysterically sobbing in the room, although if that happens, I'm quite capable of processing you through that, but I'm just not sure that that's where we want to go. But I do want to give you an opportunity to feel your feelings. And once again, those of you who know me know that this is a rare treat. Because at some level, some part of you is still feeling those feelings. And so before we jump in, I want everyone just to close their eyes and take a deep breath. Put your head down. Put it right from your head. yourself to move into a state of love, of safety, and of openness. And there is something within you that is ready to heal tonight. It may be from a long time ago, or it may be something that happened during the break. It doesn't matter, it's all the same thing. And so whatever situation it is, maybe you're upset with something currently in your life, or maybe you've just been upset for years and years. Whatever that situation is, allow it to surface. Know that you're safe, that all is well. And you may have a face appear to you. You may have a scene appear to you, or it may simply be a thought that this is the experience, this is the circumstance that you would like to begin this process with tonight. Now open your eyes. Everyone has something. It doesn't matter what it is. We're not competing here. So whatever it is, start off on number one, the situation around which I have an upset is or was, and go ahead and jot it down. You don't have to give all of the details of the story. You're not going to read an essay to the class. You're the only one who needs to know what that means. You could say, it was that time when I was 4. It was Uncle Harry. It was getting thrown out of school. It was going bankrupt. It was that person who just took my seat. Could be anything, because it's all the same thing. So write it down. You're not going to show these papers to anyone. You can burn them when you're done. You can hide them. Nobody needs to be looking over your shoulder. Just jot down what it was. What in the world happened? They did it to me. They took it from me. They hurt me. I didn't get it, and I needed it, and I wanted it. Just go ahead. This is your moment. Go for it. You're not being all holy and spiritual right now. This is the problem. And you know there's a person involved in that. There always is. So number 2, I am upset with you. Go ahead and put their name in there. Because. I'm upset with you because you didn't love me, because you left me, because you hurt me. I'm upset with you because you didn't pick me, because you embarrassed me. You know, and if some emotions come up and if some tears come up, it's okay. They were in there anyway. You might as well bring them out into the light of day. Everybody's got a past. because of what you did or are still doing, I feel. I feel lost, I feel helpless, I feel bad, I feel wrong, I feel angry. I hate you. This is what happened. This is who was involved. This is my upset, and this is what I feel. Bring it out, get it out. It's just a story, it's a small story, but it's your story. Make it real. Now you're going to check yourself out for your willingness to accept your feelings. These are your feelings. Can you be okay with that? This is how you feel. Can you not make yourself wrong on top of everything else for feeling the way that you feel? And it has some check marks. That you're willing, you're open, you're skeptical, or you're unwilling. You're entitled to your feelings. Can you just let that be okay? Or not? Can you own your feelings, that these are your feelings? Nobody's making you feel this way, they're your feelings. It's just a reflection of how you're feeling. That's all. It's just how you're feeling. Can you let that be okay? Can you be willing, open, skeptical, or unwilling? Can you just open up to these feelings? Or not? Just feelings. And number 5, you're talking about the person that you're upset with. My discomfort was my signal that I was withholding love from myself and this other person. By judging, holding expectations, wanting that other person to change, and seeing that other person as less than perfect. What's wrong with that person? Write it down. And then see if you don't think that same thing is wrong with you. You're so mean. You're so cruel. You're so dishonest. And do you make those same exact judgments of yourself? If you can't see it inside of yourself, it means you're lying. Yes. Yes. Because whatever judgment you hold on anyone else, you're going to have on yourself. Doesn't mean you have to jump into it 100%. This can be a process. But if you live in a world where you see people that are taking advantage of other people, you're gonna be the one taking advantage. If you live in a world where people are stealing, you're gonna be stealing. It may be subtle, and it may take a while to see it, but the only reason that we react to things in other people is because we have them inside of ourselves. You can react to me. Barbara, you're full of it. Darcy.
But what is it that some people bring out in you and others don't?
Oh, I don't know that a why question is a valid question. It's just some people bring it out and some people don't, that's all. So you're grateful for the people who bring it out in you. So number 6, we're gonna start shifting the energy. Everybody take a deep breath. Let it out. You've got your story, you've got your feelings. You've got an acceptance of your feelings because we want to accept ourselves as we move on. But there's something else about this story. An idea that we have created a story about facts, and that story really has an alternative purpose of bringing about our own healing. So if someone pulls out in traffic in front of us and we go flying into a rage, we've created something more than those facts. And we've created that greater story as an opportunity to bring up some of the things that we're not willing to see in us and bring them on the outside so that we can take a look. So in 6, it says, I now realize that in order to feel the experience more deeply, my soul has encouraged me to create a bigger story out of the event or situation than it actually seemed to warrant, considering just the facts. The purpose having been served, I can now release the energy surrounding my story by separating the facts from the interpretations I have made up about it. List the main interpretations. So, somebody said, no, you can't go. And I made up a story that nobody likes me, that nobody wants me around, that I'm unlovable. Somebody said, I can't love you the way that you want me to love you, and I made up a story that you'll never love me, you never have loved me, and nobody will ever love me. Do you see the difference between the facts and the interpretation, the story, what I made the facts mean? This is important. You're going to want to get this. So you've got facts. Somebody slapped me. That doesn't mean that I am a helpless victim. It may just mean that their arm was flying to catch a ball to keep it from hitting me in the face, and it inadvertently slapped me. I made up an interpretation about the facts. You want to start separating the facts from what you said the facts mean. And I'll give you a clue. What you say the facts mean are going to be an interpretation about a lot of events in your life. You're going to have that same interpretation. I can't do it. I'll never get ahead. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I can't ever be as good as so-and-so. It's never going to get better. Those kinds of interpretations of the facts are what you want to start honing into. I'm going to be a bad lady. I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life. Those were some of mine. And then check out how much of a charge you have on it. Is it high, medium, low, none? It's funny how when you start to get things out, the energy starts to dissipate. Yes,
Mike, so,
Dan.
so that situation where let's say you were struck, and it was very much a deliberate thing, right? So the way I justify the interpretation, I took it as a personal thing at the time. Now in retrospect, I think, well, it was something happening with them. It wasn't anything personal with me necessarily. It was something happening with them. But nonetheless, it happened.
Right.
It still happens to me.
Right. That's why you're writing down what happened, how you felt about it, what your, and now you're writing the interpretation, the personalness of it. You don't have to separate quite yet, but however you made it personal, that I'm a bad kid, or that you're never gonna love me, or whatever, go ahead and write that down, just to get it out. Just to get it out. I had very smart brothers whom my mother loved. Didn't make me stupid, but it took me a long time to figure that out. So what was your story about the facts? Core negative beliefs I either made up from my story or which drove the story. You can just check any that apply. I will never be enough. It's not safe to be me. I'm always last or left out. People always abandon me. Anytime you have these always statements, they're a clue. It is not safe to speak out. I should have been a boy, or I should have been a girl. God, I wore boys' clothes for an entire year of my childhood, trying to change. No matter how hard I try, it's never enough. Maybe you're familiar with some of these. Life's not fair. It's not good to be powerful or successful or rich or outgoing. I am unworthy. I don't deserve. I must obey or suffer. Others are more important than me. I am alone. No one will love me. I am unlovable. No one is there for me or other. Or all. What did you make it mean? Something happened. Happens to everybody. You had feelings about it. That's okay. You made up a story about it. And now how is that story still living in you? Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Oh, this is so gentle. Open to a reframe. Everybody take a deep breath. Let it out. I now realize that my soul encouraged me to form these beliefs in order to magnify my sense of separation, so that I could feel it more deeply for my spiritual growth. Oh, whoopee-doo. As I now begin to remember the truth of who I am, I give myself permission to let them go. And I now send love and gratitude to myself and whoever this person is that you're talking about for creating this growth experience. How willing are you to do this? To start seeing that there's some value in this, that you are able to remember who you are, that you're able to love yourself through this process, and oh my gosh, to even begin to send love to the other person. Are you willing or are you not willing? Just be honest with yourself. David.
I can feel myself almost falling into a trap for not being what, for being less than willing to just say no. You know, and the unwillingness to say no is a real feeling I have to accept that.
Right, that's why it was, how willing are you just to go ahead and feel your feelings? Yeah. Sometimes it just feels really good to be pissed off at somebody.
This one brought me back to that.
Yes. Yes. And keep in mind that your unwillingness is just costing you a lot of money. Yeah, really, really. Liz? You don't have to do anything.
So just verbally or mentally.
You don't ever have to talk to this person again for the rest of your life. you take yourself out of prison. You're actually energetically allowing yourself to move out of that state that you've been trapped in since the moment of this event. Yes?
I have trouble accepting that my soul would want to magnify myself, sense of separation.
Okay.
Why?
I don't do why questions. Why questions, you already have your answer. So, noticing a pattern and seeing the perfection in it. I recognize that my spiritual intelligence has created stories in the past that are similar in circumstance and feeling to this one, in order to magnify the emotional experience of separation that my soul wanted. Or whatever, in order to bring up that which you needed to heal. You've done this more than once. Everybody has. You've done this over and over and over again. I am seeing this as evidence that even though I don't know why or how, my soul has created this particular situation too, in order that I learn and grow. So what is it that you've done? What is the reoccurring pattern here? How many relationships have you been in with the same person? The same boss? Gosh, some people buy the same car. The same. How many times have you lived this out? And then write it down. This is my pattern here. This is my pattern that I get almost there and it falls apart. This is my pattern that I think this is the one and it turns out that I'm not the one. This is my pattern that I lose this to someone close to me. Whatever it is, what's your pattern? And check yourself out to how willing you are to see those patterns. Why do some people trigger you off and some people don't? What is it about that person? Well, men trigger me off and women don't. Okay, then it's a pattern with men. Or whatever it may be. What is your pattern and how willing are you to look? And if you're not willing, that's okay. We've already, cracked the door and the light's coming in. You will not be able to get away from this. You can slow it down, but that's all you're doing is slowing it down. It's okay. And 10, on the other page, I now realize that I get upset only when someone resonates in me those parts of me I have disowned, denied, repressed, and projected onto them. Now realize that that's me. If you spot it, you got it. You can't react to it unless it's in your consciousness. Whatever kind of languaging you want to put. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. Talking to the woman in the mirror. Life is simply a reflection of me. And if I have the same thing happening seemingly outside of myself, then that means that I am the one that's bringing it to this experience. Just are you willing or not willing to take a look at that? That maybe this wasn't someone doing something to you after all. Maybe it was just another creation of something you're ready to heal. And that you'll do it over and over and over again until you're willing to heal it. And then 11, that person that you're talking about is reflecting what I need to love and accept in myself. Oh my gosh, I have that in me? Yes. Thank you, so-and-so, for this gift. I am now willing to take back the projection and own it as a part of my shadow. I love and accept this part of me. Can you take it? Can you own it? Can you see it inside of yourself? Can you love that part of you? Just are you willing, open, skeptical, unwilling? The cruel part, the dishonest part, the liar, the cheat, the killer. We've all got that. We've all got that. And as long as we hate it on the outside, we can never love it on the inside. It doesn't matter that you turn into, it doesn't mean that you're going to turn into this ogre. But can you open up to that possibility? And can you love that part of you? I take great joy in squishing spiders. Screw the life for all thing, not spiders. I'm a murderer. I am. It's not judgment. What is it in you that you put on other people and made a big story about that keeps you small? 12, even though I may not understand it all, I now realize that you and I have both been receiving exactly what each had subconsciously chosen, and we're doing a dance with and for each other to bring us to a state of awakened consciousness. Even though I don't understand, I've brought my piece and you've brought yours, and somehow we're doing a cosmic dance. Are you willing to see that? Or not? There is no other. There is only us. In 13, I now realize that nothing you, the person's name, have done is either right or wrong. I am able now to release the need to blame you or anyone else. I release the need to be right about this, and I am willing to see the perfection in the situation just the way it is. Can you be willing to see that it's not wrong? That there's a greater perfection, that you don't have to blame to stay safe. Can you be willing? Or not? Just check yourself out. And then 14, I am willing to see that for whatever reason, my mission or soul contract included having experiences like this, and that you and I may have agreed to do this dance with and for each other in this lifetime. It is for the highest good for both of us. I now release you and me from that contract. I don't have to do this dance anymore. That doesn't mean you ever have to see this person or talk to them. You are complete. Can you be willing to complete with this? To let it go? To let them go do what they're going to do and you go do what you're going to do? 15, I release from my consciousness all feelings of, and that would be in 2B, because of what you did or are doing, I feel, and you put feelings in there. I release from my consciousness those feelings. Can you let them go? And this is the big reframe statement. 16, the story in box 1 was your victim story based in the old paradigm of reality, the victim consciousness. Now attempt a different perception of the same event, a reframe from your new empowered position based on the insights you have experienced as you have proceeded through this worksheet. It may simply be a general statement indicating that you just know everything is perfect, or a statement that includes things specific to your situation. If that is, you can actually see what the perfection is. Often you cannot. Be careful not to do a reframe that is based in world of humanity terms. means don't BS yourself. Note any positive shift in how you're feeling. Write a new story. You're not changing the facts, you're changing the story around the facts. Go as far as you will. There's no competition here, no yardstick. If you make a little change, it's good work. You don't have to be all enlightened. Just shift it. Crack the door. Refocus it a little bit. And if you change it a lot, then you change it a lot. You change it a little, you change it a little. It's all change. Number 17, I completely forgive myself and whoever, and accept myself as a loving, generous, and creative being. I release all need to hold on to emotions and ideas of lack and limitation connected to the past. I withdraw my energy from the past and release all barriers against the love and abundance that I know I have in this moment. I create my life, and I am empowered to be myself again, to unconditionally love and support myself, just the way I am, in all my power and magnificence. And 18, I now surrender to the higher power I think of as, whatever word you want to put in there, and trust in the knowledge that this situation will continue to unfold perfectly and in accordance with divine guidance and spiritual law. I acknowledge my oneness and feel myself totally reconnected with my source. I am restored to my true nature, which is love. And I now restore love to that person. I close my eyes in order to feel the love that flows in my life and to feel the joy that comes when love is felt and expressed. You let you off the hook, you let them off the hook. And what's left is love. So just take a moment and feel it. And if you want to, you can write a little note of appreciation and gratitude to this person. You can write down that having done this workshop, you, whatever comes to you, and that you completely forgive that person. For, it says, I completely forgive you, blank, for I now realize that you did nothing wrong and everything is in divine order. I bless you for being willing to play a part in my awakening. Thank you. And honor myself for being willing to play a part in your awakening. I acknowledge and accept you just the way you are. And then a note to you. I recognize that I'm a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in a human body, and I love and support myself in every aspect of my humanness. Deep breath. Let it out. Deep breath. Let it go. So the energy in the room is heavy, but it's also more empty. It's more open. It's as if there has been room made psychically. And you don't have to be able to turn everything around on a dime, but to begin to notice that we play a role in the circumstances in our lives by whomever we attract into our experience. Whatever we make it mean, it only means what you make it mean. Whatever we create around that and how we act that out over and over and over again to finally get to a point where we say, I don't need to do that anymore. I can see that that's an old story, it's an old belief, it's an old idea. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to let that person or that experience go, and I'm going to move into a state of love. Because love truly is the only thing that will save us. It's the only thing that will heal us. It's the only thing that will restore us to experiencing ourselves as the amazing, magnificent, prosperous, powerful being that we are. And as long as we are cutting off our love, we cut off our flow. And it shows up as physical illness, it shows up as circumstances, and it shows up as money or a lack thereof. So does anybody have anything that they want to share about this? I know this was big. You're doing it in a room full of people. You're not at home in your bedroom all alone, able to really go into it. There's people all around, and my God, they may look at you. Christian,
I did a recent experience I had.
say it loud into the room.
I did a recent experience I had where I had been living with someone and she'd been helping me out financially a lot. And I was staying for her, but also for me because that was safe. And she kicked me out, and it was a really ugly situation. And I had the realization that now, without her helping me financially and paying way more rent, I have more money than I did before, and that I am safe, and that I was able to work everything out and come through it. And so there was like this major, like, oh, like look how strong I am, and I can do it myself.
So what was the story that you wrapped around her kicking you out?
I remember that the story was that I was betrayed and hurt and angry, and she needed to learn from her mistakes.
She was a bad person, should be punished.
Yeah.
So you were betrayed, hurt, and angry,
Yeah.
and now you can see what?
I can see how helpful that was and how it like healed a lot of stuff from earlier stuff in my childhood, and how a lot of what she did was her own hurt and had nothing to do with me anyways.
Right.
So.
Wonderful, congratulations.
I feel much better.
I promise you that will manifest as money. Among other things, but there's a reason. There's a book I have called Why Aren't You Rich? You know all this stuff, why aren't you rich? This is why. So who else? David.
So when I asked my question, you said, if you're paying for it by $100. I didn't really like that, but you know what? No, it's true, because I was thinking about this situation, because I think about it from time to time, with this person. And back along the way, I had a 6-figure salary. you know, and for what I was doing very, very well. And I was asking myself in the last couple of weeks, what's changed? Why aren't I manifesting my consciousness? It's the same consciousness, isn't it? Oh, not exactly. This is what I got. Not exactly. Because prior to the incidents with this person, when I was making this, life was just flowing and I was doing it. And it's flowing now. Love is flowing through me everywhere, to everyone, except
So what are you willing to do?
you'll see.
Okay, good answer, good answer.
That's the honest answer.
Good
You'll
answer.
see, because, you know, that's the answer.
Good. Awareness is invaluable. Good for you. Who else? Dwight.
Oh, I went back a long ways to the 6th grade. And I had it was the very first paper I'd ever written. And I was determined to do an exceptional job. And I wrote the National Forest Service about, I got all this information. I got pens, fountain pens to write the thing. I sweated bullets over this paper. And I handed it in, and my teacher gave me a C. It was awful. And I learned from that I was so smart that I didn't have to try, that I would not do what anyone in authority told me to do, that I was above and justified in my resentment, and I don't care about anything that happens to me, because I was just being a pain in the ass little snit. And I worked my way through this, and now I am so happy that that experience happened, because it taught me that I have to go do what I have to do all the time, no matter what. End of the issue. So that's what I'm going to do.
How do you feel?
Relief.
Relief. Yeah.
Yeah, because now I feel like that I can work hard on things.
Yeah.
I've always felt like that I need to hold back.
Sure.
And that if I try to do something too hard, too well, or if I gave my all, I was going to get hurt.
Right. Right. So now you can give your all again.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill says that will make you rich.
I'm not opposed to riches.
And I want to go back to you, David, and we have time for one more. Yes, Laura.
I did it with myself, because I've been very angry with my part in my father's abuse, blaming myself, feeling, unworthy and untrustworthy, and working through this and seeing what happened. It was very interesting to come to a place to realize that my actions kept me safe. And I never thought of it that way. And like now I'm all uptight, but when I came to that, it was like so peaceful, which, well, last week that's kind of important, that I just got this peace. Wow, this person that I was knew what to do to keep me safe.
Right.
And it was a release of a lot of anger to be gone.
Wow. So how do you feel right now?
So nervous talking. Yeah, I feel that I'm connected inside.
I feel like smiling and that you're connected inside instead of being angry. So I have more of these handouts, and and if you want them, you can go to radicalforgiveness.com and get all kinds of handouts. Nancy Walton gave me one today that's on money consciousness worksheet. You can just download this from the internet, and there's one also called an emergency forgiveness worksheet, which is only 4 steps. Step 1, look what I created. Step 2, I notice my judgments and love myself anyway. Step 3, I'm willing to see the hand of God in this situation. And step 4, it's the wrong one. Step 4 has got to be that I redo it. Step 4. Oh, step 4, here it is. I choose the power of peace. So, look what I did. I love myself anyway. I'm willing to see a greater spiritual truth, and I'm going to be at peace. That's your emergency forgiveness work. At any moment, you could use that. I thought about doing that one only, but I think that we got a lot more from this bigger sheet. So what I want you to know is that when we're stuck in the past, we are not in the flow of life. When we're stuck in our pain and our anger and our disconnect, we are not open for all of the joy and the love and the prosperity that is ours. So if you find that this has been helpful and you want to continue doing it, you can do forgiveness work daily for years and years. And Wayne Dane says, there's 4 steps to prosperity, and one of them is forgiveness. And that's to let go of that which doesn't serve us so that we can accept that which does. And you all did really, really good. Really good. So take out what you're going to get. And if you are here for the first time and you want to be part of this program, fill out your, this is my pledge paper, and put it in the basket, and I will include you in the Treatments for Prosperity. And what we're going to do, we're going to do it a little bit quieter tonight, because there just seems to be a tenderness in the room. So as we hold our gift, we simply know that I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program of our center, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is. And as the baskets go around, I have great faith in our ability to do more than one thing at a time. So I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program of our center, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is. breathe it in. Know that all is well. Know that you are a being of love and light. You are created out of love because love is all that there is. Money is created out of love. So this love connects you to money right now. And we'll do it one more time as we pass that other basket back up. Get it? That this is about love, loving love as you and money. You've created space in yourself, in your psyche, in your consciousness. And right here and right now, money is seeking you out to fill you filled full to overflowing. So in the love and in the light, let's say it one more time. I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word, which I speak in faith knowing, now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program